While the 90s were considered a golden era for independent cinema, did you know only one black filmmaker that broke out before the 2000s has generated over $1 billion in total box office sales? We already have 4 this millennium, with more quickly approaching. But who's the most influential? Let's dive into their careers.
The ensemble maestro, Malcolm D. Lee.
Released at 32, Malcolm D. Lee's debut film and first breakout was 1999's romantic comedy The Best Man. Lee studied film and television at Northwestern University before working behind the scenes writing, producing, and directing episodes for black TV shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Martin, and Living Single. Malcolm leveraged his TV experience and cousin Spike Lee's 40 Acres and a Mule to secure a $9 million budget for his first screenplay. After the success of films like Waiting to Exhale and Love Jones, studios were becoming more willing to invest in stories centered on black middle-class life, helping The Best Man get financed and distributed by Universal Pictures. The film benefited by being an early black romantic comedy staple, grossing $34.5 million at the box office. Malcolm studied his cousin Spike Lee closely, but developed his own comedic and narrative style, which was influenced by classic ensemble films where a wedding dramatically reunites old friends like Diner and The Big Chill. Lee aimed for relatable characters and dialogue-driven plots that balanced humor with drama. Lee's most prolific period to date was the 2000s, directing 4 more films like Undercover Brother, Roll Bounce, Welcome Home Roscoe Jenkins, and Soul Men. However, his commercial high point to date came with Girls Trip in 2017, which grossed over $140 million domestically and became another comedy ensemble phenomenon. Overall, his director catalog includes at least 11 films, grossing nearly $600 million globally. Although a prolific director, the only writing credits in his film portfolio are for the Best Man franchise.
The modern godmother, Gina Prince-Bythewood.
Born in 1969, Gina Prince-Bythewood grew up in Pacific Grove, California, before studying film at UCLA's School of Theater, Film, and Television. Before her film feature debut, Gina began her career writing, producing, and directing episodes for several popular TV shows in the 90s. At 31, her debut film and first major hit was Love and Basketball, a romance drama released in 2000. Inspired by her own love for sports and storytelling, it was semi-autobiographical. Prince-Bythewood had been a track athlete at UCLA and wanted to show what it was like navigating identity, love, and ambition as a black woman. The film was born from a desire to show a love story where the female lead had just as much agency and drive as the man. She developed the script at the Sundance Institute, which helped give it visibility. Spike Lee came on as producer, giving her the industry clout to get the film financed and distributed. The timing was crucial. Hollywood was becoming more open to female-driven stories, especially from black creatives post-Waiting to Exhale and Set It Off in the late 90s. Love and Basketball went on to gross over $27 million at the box office on a $14 million budget, which was one of the highest debut budgets of a black filmmaker at the time. Prince-Bythewood looked up to filmmakers like John Singleton and Spike Lee, but her storytelling lens was unique, rooted in emotional intimacy and personal dynamics rather than spectacle. She's also cited When Harry Met Sally as an emotional blueprint. Her most prolific era began in the 2010s and hit a commercial high with The Old Guard in 2020, a Netflix comic book adapted action film starring Charlize Theron. It became one of Netflix's most watched films ever at the time, with over 78 million household views in its first month. Known for centering black women's experiences, she directed historical epic The Woman King as well, which was released in 2022 to a $94 million outcome, which is her highest theatrical box office performer so far. Her director catalog includes at least 5 films, grossing over $176 million in total box office sales. Bythewood's studio track record helped pave the way for those that came after her, like Emmy Award-winning screenwriter Lena Waithe and Ava DuVernay, who became the first black woman to direct a $100 million studio film, A Wrinkle in Time. You could also argue Love and Basketball opened the door for Barry Jenkins' Academy Award-winning Moonlight, which similarly portrayed black love and relationships outside of stereotypical suffering narratives.
The power philosopher, Antoine Fuqua.
Pittsburgh native Antoine Fuqua's first major hit was action drama Training Day, released in 2001 when he was about 36. Before that, he began his career as a visual artist and studied electrical engineering in college before pivoting to filmmaking. He broke into the industry by directing music videos in the late 80s and 90s for heavyweights like Prince, Toni Braxton, and Coolio, most notably the Gangsta's Paradise video. That high-profile work led to commercial directing gigs and built his reputation as a visual stylist. Training Day was inspired by Fuqua's fascination with moral gray areas and the abuse of power, particularly within law enforcement. It was also influenced by his Pittsburgh upbringing and his desire to explore Bad Men Doing Good Things and Good Men Doing Bad Things. David Ayer wrote the screenplay. His music video resume gave him the leverage to helm his first studio feature, The Replacement Killers, released in 1998, produced by John Woo on a $30 million budget. Though it wasn't a hit, it proved Fuqua could direct a stylish action film. Training Day came at a time when audiences were hungry for more complex portrayals of black masculinity and corruption in institutions. The film benefited from Denzel Washington's star power and a shift in mainstream audiences' appetite for gritty, character-driven crime dramas post The Sopranos and The Wire era. Once Denzel Washington expressed interest, the Warner Bros. Needed a director who could bring both realism and intensity to the screen, someone with street sensibility and a cinematic eye. Antoine Fuqua, fresh off The Replacement Killers, was on their shortlist. Fuqua was heavily inspired by Martin Scorsese, Akira Kurosawa, and particularly filmmakers who explored morality and violence. He's also cited westerns and samurai films as influences on his framing and themes. He studied their blueprints but localized them, bringing those epic tones to urban and modern American settings. However, Fuqua's most prolific decade to date has been the 2010s, releasing 7 films like Olympus Has Fallen, Southpaw, and the first 2 parts of the Equalizer trilogy. His biggest box office hit is The Equalizer 3 in 2023, which grossed over $185 million globally. Fuqua has directed at least 14 feature films, grossing over $1.57 billion at the box office over his 30-plus-year tenure. He's also credited as producer on many of the films he directs, launching production Co-Fuqua Films in 2009. While Fuqua is not a writer, he selects projects with themes he cares about like masculinity, justice, moral ambiguity, and black heroism.
The cult classic, Charles Stone III.
Philadelphia native Charles Stone III's first major hit was the music drama Drumline, released in 2002 when he was around 36 years old. Before that, Stone studied at the Rhode Island School of Design, where he earned a fine arts degree in animation in 1988. He started his career in New York as an animator and special effects designer for a small production company when he had the idea of creating animated shorts for the 80s rock band Living Colour. Their manager loved his submissions so much that they eventually granted Stone a $10,000 budget to make a music video for their song, Funny Vibe. This kickstarted Stone's prolific music video career in the 90s, directing for household artists like The Roots, A Tribe Called Quest, and Public Enemy. Stone then gained even more national notoriety with his viral 1999 Budweiser What's Up commercial, which was inspired by a short film he directed about an inside joke with his friends. Drumline's script was originated by Tina Gordon Chisholm. She pitched it to renowned music producer Dallas Austin as it was loosely based on his story. Austin came on as an executive producer and suggested Stone be the director to 20th Century Fox, given his recent commercial success and ties to the music industry. Fox was looking to expand mid-budget youth films in the wake of Save the Last Dance and Bring It On, so Drumline fittingly followed that moment. Stone also directed the Rockefeller Films-backed crime drama Paid in Full in 2002, around the same time as Drumline, technically making that Stone's debut film release. Stone grew up immersed in music and film. His father was Chuck Stone, a Tuskegee Airman, prominent journalist and founding president of the National Association of Black Journalists, NABJ, which shaped Charles's commitment to representing black storytelling. Stone's most prolific era was the 2000s, marked by 4 total film releases and 3 in the 2010s. Drumline remains his most widely known and commercially successful film, grossing over $56 million and becoming a black cult classic on a $20 million budget. Overall, he's grossed at least $126 million at the box office across a catalog of 10 feature films and counting.
The bootstrapped billionaire, Tyler Perry.
Known as the first black filmmaker to become a billionaire, Tyler Perry's first big hit was Diary of a Mad Black Woman, released in 2005 when he was around 37 years old. Before that, Perry built a foundation in theater, writing and performing a series of popular stage plays starring his iconic character Medea, which was inspired by a composite of Perry's mother and aunt. The film's narrative was adapted from Perry's earlier stage plays like I Know I've Been Changed, a gospel musical that delved into issues of child abuse, Christian faith, and redemption, all drawing from Perry's own life and family experiences growing up in New Orleans. Perry leveraged his massive, loyal Chitlin Circuit Southern audience to finance around half of Diary of a Mad Black Woman's $5.5 million budget himself, giving him control and credibility outside traditional Hollywood business models. Lionsgate eventually took notice and struck a distribution deal with Perry, marketing the film nationwide to a $50.7 million box office outcome. Perry crafted his own blueprint and style, blending humor, melodrama, and life lessons rooted in black church culture. Arguably the most prolific black black TV and filmmaker of this era, Perry released 9 films in the 2000s and 14 films in the 2010s, with no sign of slowing down. Commercially, his films like Medea's Family Reunion and Medea Goes to Jail each grossed over $70 million domestically, with 2016's Boo! A Medea Halloween becoming one of the highest-grossing R-rated comedies ever. Perry's 30-plus films have collectively grossed over $1 billion worldwide. Not only that, but his bustling Atlanta studio has become a core economic driver to the city, helping usher it to Black Hollywood status.
The Chosen One, Ryan Coogler.
Oakland native Ryan Coogler's first major hit was Fruitvale Station, released in 2013 when he was just 27 years old. Before that, he studied film at USC's School of Cinematic Arts after earning a degree in finance from Sacramento State, where he also played college football. While in grad school, he directed award-winning short films that demonstrated his emotional storytelling and social awareness. Fruitvale Station was inspired by the 2009 police killing of Oscar Grant in Oakland, Coogler's hometown. He was deeply affected by the injustice and wanted to humanize Grant on screen, to show his full life, not just his tragic end. Coogler's short film work and his clear vision for Fruitvale helped him gain the support of Forrest Whitaker, who came on as a producer to help secure its $900,000 budget. Sundance loved the film. It won both the Grand Jury Prize and Audience Award in 2013, and its release aligned with growing national awareness of police brutality, especially as the Black Lives Matter movement gained momentum. The timing gave Fruitvale a deeper cultural and emotional resonance, leading to a $17 million debut box office outcome for Coogler. Coogler has cited Spike Lee, John Singleton, and the Italian neorealists as key influences, valuing authenticity and character-first narratives. He also looked up to the way Singleton used his personal experience to tell Boys in the Hood, which informed how Coogler approached Fruitvale Station. Coogler's prolific run began in the 2010s and continues today. After Fruitvale, he directed Creed in 2015, a powerful reboot of the Rocky franchise, then reached global superstardom with Marvel's Black Panther in 2018. The latter grossed $1.3 billion worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing solo superhero film of all time at that point. Black Panther is both his most culturally influential and commercially successful film. It broke barriers for Black representation in blockbuster cinema, inspired global pride, and became a landmark in pop culture and Afrofuturism. Coogler has generated $2.72 billion at the box office across his first 5 films. Sinners has grossed over $365 million worldwide, making it the 5th highest-grossing horror movie of all time globally, behind only It, Jaws, It Chapter 2, and The Exorcist. Fruitvale Station is his only solo writing credit, but he's co-written on each of the films he's directed. Coogler has also co-founded production company Proximity Media in 2021 with his wife Zinzi Evans and Seb Ohanian. While Tim Story was the first Black director behind a Marvel comic franchise in 2005 with the Fantastic Four, Coogler was the first to helm one to over $1 billion in revenue, cementing his legacy as this generation's chosen one.
The Twisted Thriller, Jordan Peele.
New York-born Jordan Peele's first big hit and debut as a filmmaker was Get Out in 2017, when he was 39 years old. Prior to that, Peele was a comedian and writer, best known for his work on Mad TV and co-creating the sketch comedy show Key and Peele a few years earlier. His background in comedy honed his storytelling, timing, and social commentary skills. Transitioning into directing, he was inspired to blend horror with sharp social critique, especially around race relations in America. Peele has said he studied horror legends like John Carpenter and Alfred Hitchcock, but wanted to use horror as a way to explore modern racial anxieties. He references the movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner as an inspiration, because everyone can relate to the fear of meeting the in-laws for the first time, regardless of your race. Peele leveraged his established entertainment career and the success of Key and Peele to get the $4.5 million backing for Get Out, a social thriller about a Black man meeting his girlfriend's racist family. It was co-produced by Paranormal Activity's Jason Blum. The film's release coincided with heightened national conversations about race after Trump's first presidential election, fueling it to a $255 million global commercial smash at the box office. Universal Pictures gave him creative control. Peele drew from horror filmmakers like John Carpenter, Wes Craven, and Jordan's own love of psychological thrillers, but also from social satirists. He studied how to use horror tropes to reflect real social fears and used classic filmmaking techniques alongside modern twists. He fell in love with movies after seeing Edward Scissorhands and even studied puppetry at St. Lawrence College before dropping out to pursue comedy. Peele's prolific era began in 2017 and continues today. After Get Out, he directed the doppelganger horror Us in 2019 and produced other socially conscious horror films like Black Klansman and Candyman. Peele's director catalog has grossed over $682 million across his first 3 films, with his next production, sports horror Him, slated for a fall 2025 release. Peele founded Monkey Paw Productions in 2012, which got its start by pitching and producing Key and Peele. Get Out stands as both his most culturally influential and commercially successful film to date. It redefined horror by centering Black experiences and has been widely studied and praised for its social commentary. Peele's work sparked a new wave of socially conscious genre filmmaking. While Antoine Fuqua, Tim Story, Ryan Coogler, and Tyler Perry make up the post-2000s billions row, Malcolm D. Lee, Barry Jenkins, and Jordan Peele are quickly approaching. But a director's influence goes beyond just the box office scale. Can you spot and launch little-known actors into major stardom? Malcolm D. Lee launched Regina Hall's film career and Tiffany Haddish into a new stratosphere. Charles Stone gave Kevin Hart and Nick Cannon their first lead movie roles, and Daniel Kaluuya's biggest acting role before Peele's Get Out was in a Black Mirror episode. But my take for the most influential of this era is Jordan Peele. While still pretty early in his filmmaking career, he's the only one to create original stories for every single one of his films. He's popularized a new genre and is guaranteed to cross the $100 million threshold on each release. What do you think? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more breakdowns.